Welcome back to the Burton US Open. I am Louie Vito here in Vail, Colorado at the top of the Slopestyle course. We started with 32 men. We made the cut to 10. Over half of these riders have never made a US Open final. Leading the charge, Gerard. Unable to make finals last year, could this be his redemption? And of course, you can never count out Mcmorris. So don't go anywhere. US Open men's slopestyle final starts now.
Welcome to the 2019 Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships, live from a snowy Vail, Colorado. The Vail Valley showing us its many faces the last 3 days as we head into this very exciting men's final. Sal Masekela here with you with X Games gold medalist Tina Dixon and T-Bird, former editor of Snowboarder magazine. And what a difference just a couple of hours makes from our women's final, where it was light overcast. The women were still able to deal with pretty nice conditions, and then
yeah, I feel like in the women's contest, they were dealing with a little bit of flat light at certain times. The light did get a little bit darker, but the first run, they were crushing it.
Right.
They could see everything. The speed was there. The weather was holding up. Then all of a sudden, we go in for lunch. Look outside. It is nuking snow.
Well, you guys went in for lunch. I put my boots on and went and got some fresh powder, which is great if you're just general population. Not so much if you're 10 of the best snowboarders in the world. Trying to navigate this. Here you see our temperature about 34 degrees. The wind, 11 miles per hour down below. At times, the gusts have been much more, with that wind starting to blow uphill. That snowfall, though, is really the issue for speed, etc. We'll check in with Louie Vito. I know you've been talking to the entire field. They've been talking to each other about how to deal with these conditions.
You know, the snow makes it really hard for these riders to be able to clear these jumps, especially when you're trying to do 2 and 3 flips before you even land. I talked to some wax techs, and they're just really trying to figure out the formula to allow these riders to ride as fast as possible. But as soon as practice ended, the snow let up just long enough to allow the park crew to go through, do a full slip, full rake, and then to let the riders do a hot lap through before the contest starts. And I think they got a lot of the new snow out and should be fast for these first runs.
Thanks, Louie. We did have a chance because the riders come down the bottom, and before they get their snowmobile up, they have to stop by here, and Darcy Sharp gave us some insight.
Yeah, he looked over and, you know, just kind of said hi to us really quickly, which was, I mean, great of him as they're wait for the sleds. But he said the biggest issue is when they slide the snow off, it went to the side, and especially on that transition feature, when you go to the side to set your line, it's now become somewhat bumpy for those guys. And then, yeah, the snow, it slows things down, but as the riders go on the course, it flattens it or it packs it down. So the more riding, the faster it gets.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said the more the guys hit it, the faster it gets. So he told us, he's like, I just want to get this contest underway. Yeah. Let's just go. Let's start hitting this thing. It's going to get fast. I think we can make it happen.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even want those guys to be raking. Let's just ride it. We just want to get on that course and start riding.
Yeah, one of the key things he mentioned will be being able to find the right lines within the snow. That will be key. There are 6 features of absolute glory, and in the women's final, we saw them literally push the progression forward. Take us through this course.
And I mean, that's going to happen today regardless. I mean, rain or shine, there's usually speed for the rails. There's 3 rail islands with a myriad of options on every single one. You see this 3rd rail island here. You see that Red Bull Rainbow. That's been a rider's favorite throughout the event. You're going to see a lot of stuff go down on that today.
So really good rail section, and then it heads into the 3 jump features. That first jump sets you up for this transition feature. This is completely new. In the years past, they've had a jump option. Now you have to hit it as a transition, and then that final booter at the bottom.
Yeah, and that transition feature really has been the equalizer this whole event, hasn't it?
And then you take a look at the judging. Each feature counts for the same amount, 10 points available for all 6 features.
It's a fantastic system of scoring here. Shows that you have to be perfect on the rails and the jumps.
And then you add in the flow score for 40 points. Flow score is the overall impression, how the run makes the judges feel. Spinning in different directions, holding onto your grabs, execution, style, all that stuff. There's 10 riders, 3 runs. Best run counts. But with this 3-run format, it's going to be interesting because, as we've seen in the last hour, hour and a half, the weather can move in at any given minute. So I think it's going to be imperative that you got to capitalize when the weather is good. There's no safety runs. You want to end up in that #1 spot because anything can happen.
Yeah, you and Darcy were talking about that. Like, hey, because, I mean, yeah, you do get 3 runs, but because of the weather, you just have to really do your best run every opportunity that you get.
And what we saw in the women's final was exemplary of just leaving it all out there right off the bat. In the first runs, they did not hold back. We saw the lead change about 4 different times just in the first runs. And of course, young Zoe from New Zealand said, she was our #1 qualifier. She said, I'm not going to waste any time here. I'm going to try and get this thing done on my first run.
What a year for Zoe Sadowski-Synnott. Switch board slide 270. What I liked about her rail section too is she hit 2 of the 3 rail islands switch, which was pretty incredible. And there's a backside 180 out of that 50-50.
But watch this first jump, a switch backside 900. One of the only, very few women that does that trick. She does it on that first feature. And then this transition feature, she goes for a frontside 720. She told me before the event she didn't even know what she was going to do there, and then caps it off with a backside 540.
And I feel like the switch back 9 on the first hit got her more points than if she did the switch back 9 on the last hit. It's farther up the course, more risk equals greater reward with the judges.
Absolutely, and she styled it out so nice. And you know, we talked about this earlier that Zoe watched this event for the very first time online, had the dream of coming here competing, and became the winner.
We had 6 women and we have 10 men, 4 Americans, 1 Swede, 2 Canadians, 2 Japanese riders, and 1 from Norway. And as Louie Vito pointed out at the Open, 50% of this field, first time that they've ever been in the final, which was the same that we had with the women.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of the theme of this US Open. It's a changing of the guard, it's moving it forward, it's letting all the snowboarding fans know that, hey, snowboarding is in really good hands. The next 4 or 5 years, these kids are going to become the next Mark Mcmorrises, the next Ståle Sandbecks. It's really cool to see.
It also just shows how many good snowboarders there are. There's a lot of really good riders.
And one of them, his name is Brock Crouch from Carlsbad, California, considers Mammoth Lakes his local mountain. And this is a young man who only a year ago was in a much different conversation. He was involved in an accident, in an avalanche that left people wondering, A, would he be able to survive, and then B, would he even be able to snowboard ever again? The work that this young man has done in the off-season, defying all the experts and the doctors, and to not just come back, but to come back riding at this level amongst the 10 best in the world in slopestyle. What a story for Brock Crouch.
It is so great to see him back up at the top. 270 on, 270 off, and then board slide 270 with a little poke right there. 50-50 front side 5 out of that.
You can see him trying to get speed going into the switch for the cab. 1260 double grab right out of the gate. And then a double, going for a double crippler and getting that 180 on the end, but goes down on that. And we talked about that transition feature, how it's really going to be a difference maker for today's event.
It really is. It's the equalizer.
Did you see the snow that came off the bottom of his board on that landing?
Exactly.
That landing is going to have to be so perfect.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes when it's a little bit firmer, it's okay to land on your heel or your toe edge to set up for the next trick. I feel like today, these guys are going to want to favor toward landing a little bit more flat base. But his rail section, it was looking good. There's that board slide 270, gets that front side grab with the poke right there. And then 50-50 front side 540. So he is stepping up his rail game from the semifinals. Brock came to play. There's that nose tail double grab right there. And then, yeah, it looks like, I think he wanted just the regular double crippler and maybe kind of started rotating midair a little bit. But yeah, Sal, you're right. There was a lot of snow that kicked up in that landing.
3 runs. Once again, 3 runs. We will take the best score from those 3 runs. Brock Crouch was one of the riders in the pieces that we played earlier this week who's so excited about that equalizer feature, we're calling it, that transition feature that really, there's no place for your snowboarding to hide.
Yeah, it really plays into his approach to slopestyle riding.
Up next is from Sweden, Sven Thorgen, 24 years of age.
50-50 backside 270 transfer. Frontside 270 on, 270 off. And switch board slide underflip 7, bringing it around to fakie.
And then you could see right there having problems on that landing.
It looked like he had some speed issues a little bit there on that cab 12.
Oh, but that was nice, getting that full rotation around and just pointing it here at the bottom feature.
He's going back 14.
Oh, and he gets it!
And look at the grab on that. Unorthodox grabs on big spins, and he does them flat. I love Sven Thorgren's style of jumping.
And when you have 10 of the best riders in the world, the judges are looking for ways that you can particularly stand out, and that's one of them.
Exactly. And that's going to play into his flow score. There's the frontside 270 on, 270 off. What I like about Sven's riding too is it's just really squared up. That's an odd descriptor, but he just looks like he's always in control.
Look at the score on this, an 8.2 on that last rail. And yeah, those grabs that he has and he brings the board up and styles them out, that really comes into play with that execution score. Gets the 1080 on this and then points it, and you said it, he's like, I'm gonna go for the 1440.
Yeah, and there aren't many riders doing flat 1440s grabbing stale fish. Usually they're grabbing mute with their lead hand.
And he held that thing forever. You see that score of an 8.4 reflected. Is a nice trick score and balances out with that strong flow score. You call that, T-Bird. He's feeling good. Well, Mark Mcmorris is just the first name that you think of when you think of modern slopestyle. He's won this event 2 times in a row. He's looking for a 30, qualified 6th. What are the challenges for Mark Mcmorris heading into this event?
This season definitely had a big challenge to start. I was over in China doing some promotion stuff, stood up from a signing, and all of a sudden I had this crazy muscle bursa over top of 2 screws I had in my leg. And then I snowboarded for my first time 2 days before X Games. So I definitely had a very challenging start to my season.
And we forget about the fact that this is a rider who in the last 4 years has suffered some of the heaviest injuries ever, come back at the highest level. And look at him now. We talked about, well, oh, he didn't qualify first. Will Mark Mcmorris be able to hang?
Oh yeah. Switch back 12 into the double crippler. I think this is going to be the triple back 14.
Oh.
Not quite enough air time. I thought he had it, but that top angle really, you can see that there's a little bit of a speed issue on that last jump. But I will tell you right now, if he puts that run down, that is a first place run at the US Open, I think. That is a heavy, heavy run.
Yeah, that whole, he took no hits off.
So 50-50, hard way back 2 on. Look at the live rank, 9 out of 10. Board slide 270. And then right here, front side board slide 8-10 out.
And that's what he did actually, that rotation on his second jump. So he's already doing a harder run right out of the gate.
And a switch back 12, scoring an 8.8 out of 10. And the double crippler coming in at 8.4. Yeah, you give Mark Mcmorris 1 more split second in the air, he's stomping that.
Well, you see how hard that last feature takes him out. But again, 2 more runs, and he's giving us a glimpse, and that wasn't even his hardest run. We head back up to the top, and we'll check in with Louie Vito.
The word from up here is it's definitely a little challenging out there, so pretty much just go straight.
It's the point it open, is what Louie is trying to say. There's really no room to speed check anywhere on this course.
No, there's not at all. You have to send it all the way SFD, as they say, straight to the bottom. And you got to do some pretty incredible stuff on your way down to get up into that top spot.
What's the talk amongst the riders from a challenging standpoint? Is there waxing going on already?
There's tons of waxing going on. We have the best wax techs up here, and you know, every ounce of speed counts. And you can see with Mark, he just needed a little bit more into that last jump and he would have landed it. So it really makes the decision for you if you land or if you fall.
Well, here's a great story on course. Young Luke Winkleman from North Carolina, snowboarding mecca.
Yeah, and you know, he would ride up in Vermont. They would take the trips up to Vermont, and he really kind of came onto the scene when he won in a qualifier to get to the Dew Tour. So once you get to that not the Dew Tour, sorry, the Peace Park.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about Luke, unfortunately, couldn't put that last jump to his feet. What's interesting about this scoring system is the rails are worth just as much as the jumps. It's not always like that in a slopestyle contest. So when it's not like that, Luke Winkleman is at a bit of a disadvantage because he's such a good rail rider. But here at the US Open, he's an amazing jumper, but he's a phenomenal rail rider. So he can really make up a lot of points in the rail section.
Yeah, I haven't seen him ride that much in contests, but what I've seen like online and footage, the rail combinations that he does.
I mean, and that was a proper press. That was a half cab tail press. That nose did not tap once.
And then once he got to that invite to Peace Park, he got that chance to meet some of the riders and start riding with them. Makes such a difference.
It absolutely did. And I mean, he's just a cool kid. As he once said, I'm just trying to lace.
Just out here trying to lace.
That was quote of the week.
That absolutely, in an interview in the semifinals, asked him what his motives were. Luke Winkleman said, he said, I'm just out here trying to lace, son. Trying to lace.
Luke's just one of those dudes you always want to see him do well at a contest. He's a good kid and a really, really phenomenal snowboarder.
He is happy to be here and in full appreciation mode. Somebody on the exercise bike, staying warm, focus, as we head to another rider from another mecca of snowboarding, Hawaii. Lion Farrell, ripping surfer, ripping skater, and incredible snowboarder.
I think this probably is the first US Open where we had, in the slopestyle final, a rider from Hawaii and North Carolina.
Oh, for sure.
Talk about an inclusive event. So Lion Farrell, his first US Open slopestyle finals. Cab 270 tail slide. And even a grab coming off the rail. Frontside double cork 1080. Did you see how he saved that?
How deep was that?
Backside 12.
Will he have enough speed here? Yes, indeed.
So a backside 12 and a cab 12 to end his run. Lion is very psyched right now. I mean, first US Open final. You've been watching this event and coming to this event for years, and you put your first run to your feet. That's got to be an incredible feeling for Lion Farrell right now.
And like you said, not holding back at all.
Not one bit. And I actually saw him this morning before the women's event, and I said, well, what's your mindset? What are you thinking? And he said, I'm going out full bore, 100%. So I think that's going to hurt him right there, but that was out of necessity. That was not a mistake. I think he just went a little bit too big, and he had to save himself to get himself back to his feet.
He still made it look good, though, the way he kind of brought that around. So the 1080 into the back-to-back 1260s, you know, Lion spends his summers in New Zealand at the parks. It's paying off. He's actually had a pretty good year on the contest scene, getting up on some of the podiums, but now at the US Open, what a great start.
And that's absolutely, he's got plenty of room in the top section, in the rail section, to improve.
Yep.
We saw that lower score in the midsection. He is looking good with 2 runs to go. Well, we talk about the different types of rotations, right? Some people like to be inverted and corked out. Other people like flat spins. What about Ståle Sandbäck?
One person is more natural to go a double cork. For another person, it's more natural to go flat spin. What's harder, I don't know. Just how it's executed is what matters the most in my mind.
When I think the reason Ståle doesn't know which is harder is because he's just as good at both. Not many riders are as adaptable as this kid. He is a weapon on a slopestyle course, and he's about to show you why right here. He also just does not ever seem to get phased by the pressure. He is a mellow cat.
It's crazy. It feels like he's just been good for so long.
Yeah. So opting for the cab 5 there into the double crippler. How he rode away from that is a mystery to me. He went huge. And then you could hear him in the air. He knew the minute he left that lip that he did not have the speed for that final jump.
Finding the right line. That's what Darcy Sharp said.
Yep.
Finding the right snow line at the bottom of the course would be key. And with this new snow, it seems like it's hard for the riders to know, am I in the right line?
Exactly, and the light isn't optimal right now, so it's a little tougher to see where that line may be on the takeoff. 50-50 front blunt 270. And then 50-50 transfer over to board slide. Coming out fakie there. See, I feel like he almost wanted a 2.7 on right there. Didn't quite have it, and that just kind of threw him off his line because he did a cab 5 on that first jump, but obviously I don't think he was, meant to do a cab 540.
Remember we had Anna Gasser in with us earlier in the women's finals. She said sometimes midair, you have to open up,
Yep.
Stop thinking about executing the trick, and start thinking about safety. And that was Ståle on that last hit.
And I think that's just a basic instinct that all these guys and gals do have.
Air awareness is key. Darcy Sharp, 6 feet of pure snowboard joy from Whistler, British Columbia. And he's just an easy human being to root for.
Yeah, Darcy is one of the nicest guys. He's the guy that everybody up in the rider tent, no matter what they're doing, when Darcy drops in, they stop what they're doing and they watch this kid ride. So transfer from the pole jam over to the down bar there, and then board slide on the triple drop, pretzel out. 2.7 on, coming out fakie. The switchback 12. He might have taken his own advice a little too literally. He went a little deep on that first jump.
Really deep.
Tip your wax tech, Darce.
Oh, that's a Burton bonus. That's a Burton bonus hit if I ever saw.
I like that.
And if you're at home wondering, Sal, what are you talking about? There is a side pot for best performance on the bottom feature, and that's not just off of the jump portion. You can get weird on the knuckle, just like we saw Darcy Sharp do.
Yeah, we had a pow slash that was in contention in the women's contest.
Man, these rails up top were so good. They were so nice.
Look at the control he's got on that pretzel too.
So this was the trick where he went, look at his landing. I mean, he's in that kind of sweet spot, but you see the powder, you said it before, like all that powder that just flew up in his...
2 more.
That's right, Darcy, 2 more, my man.
And that is, that's the joy of the 3-run format. These guys can work their way up. Look at the packed house up in the riders' tent. A little mix of entourage, coaches, positive motivators in your life?
Team managers, wax techs.
Yes.
Wax techs.
A lot of wax
Most
techs.
popular person today.
This is the day when they're out back and just their chemist hats come on and
Oh,
they
yeah.
start nerding out and trying to put together the combinations.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, let me see your board. Let me put some stuff on it.
They get
Let me put
nice,
some special sauce there.
nice green handshakes. There you see a young Hiroki Kunitake who is fired up to be in his first final. And for our Japanese audience, plenty here cheering him on, but also around the world. There is a separate feed for the Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships in Japanese. You can find that on Red Bull TV for this final, as well as for our half pipe, super pipe finals.
Yeah, this is his first US Open final, youngest competitor here in the men's field today, 17 years old. Switch board slide, underflip, and he's a goofy footer. So he's going front side, double cork 1080.
And then just a backside 900 on that and heading into the last jump. Switch. And a cab 900.
I don't think he had the speed for that either. Because usually that's a cab 12 out of Hiroki.
Salute to the full carve in the landing area. That made me happy.
You know, this rider, we were talking about this earlier, there's all these new names and some of these newer riders, and he competed at the Olympics for Japan in Pyeongchang. Didn't make the finals, but he has finished up on the podium at one of the Olympic qualifiers last year in January 2018. And at that event, you know who the winner was?
Who's that?
Gerard. And that was when he went on to go win, lock in his Olympic spot and win that Olympic gold.
There's that switch board slide 450, dipping that shoulder. And the front side double cork 1080.
So he started the jump line nice.
Oh yeah, his speed on the first two features.
And this looked intentional. This backside 900 tail looked great. And then just coming into this, the cab 900, and watch where he lands. Ugh.
It's almost as if he let off just a little bit as he was leaving the lip.
Taking advantage of a little rest time. Little spa moment as he waits for his score. Gotta like that kid's energy. Well, we got fans watching from all over the world, especially via Facebook on the Burton and Red Bull pages, and the hammer and the keys. They're saying words to us. Louie, what are they saying?
You know, we have Will Carter's watching from Idaho, Kathleen Flanagan from Australia, and Dan Hendrickson, who's in Portugal. And this is what it's all about. Thanks, Red Bull, for allowing me and all others to see all the action.
Nice. That's a nice Friday night in Portugal. Probably sipping on something red, watching the greatest snowboarders on the planet. As on course right now is Ruki Tobita, 19 years of age. Look at that power of the tuck for speed.
Getting that switch backside 1260 around. Oh, do you see that bump? That's what Darcy was telling us about.
Yep. Yeah, there was a little bit of a bobble right there because with that new snow, the entrance into that equalizer feature is almost going to become a little bit of a berm turn.
I don't even know how he got enough speed to not get blown up by the knuckle on that last
It's
hit.
going to be jump, bank slalom, transition, jump.
So Ruki Tobita making his US Open Slopestyle Finals debut.
And it's how clean. The execution is amazing.
But Darcy also said, like, the more we get on the course, the more it's going to get packed out, the more riding it hits. So
Yep.
that's a good thing.
50-50 to front board 450. And then a half cab into a 50-50, back 5 out. And this switchback 12 was spot on. He landed that perfect, and then watch right there.
Yep.
It was that entrance to the track into that transition feature.
How about that? Just that I want to give points for everyone who can just somehow suck up the energy when they hit the knuckle and not physically explode. Well, this is a big event for our next competitor, Red Gerard. We've been calling this week for him Redemption, because he missed the final last year, but he came back, qualified first, and we'll get his thoughts on what that means to be in this driver's seat in this final.
Dropping last is weird for me. I never really qualified first, but it's interesting and it's fun, whatever.
Old soul, Red Gerard. You know, you never get any answer from him that doesn't feel measured or thought about.
Yeah.
And you see that in his snowboarding as well.
Absolutely, and we've been saying all week that this course really suits the way that Red Gerard approaches a slopestyle course. Look at the speed he is coming out of the rail section with.
Switch backside 1260. And then the front side 1080.
Power of the squat.
Backside triple cork 1440.
Are you kidding me, Red Gerard? Holy cow. It seemed like he got winched into the slopestyle course. He was flying down the course.
Just from the start.
I want to look back. I can't wait to look back at that save. I think it was on the first hit, first jump.
So
top half of the course.
Board slide to front board to fakie. Half cap 50, back 3 out.
Watch where he lands right on that one and how much speed he has going into this.
And it seems like that second rail feature was deliberately done, that trick, so he could do that board slide 450 and come out with speed.
So he lands that switch backside 1260. Ooh, stayed on his feet and then gets this double cork 1080 around. And in the past events, he's the only one we've ever really seen hit that transition. And he had so much speed heading into this final jump to get this backside triple cork 1440 around.
Wow.
Look at those scores, a 9-1 and a 9 on 5 and 6. If the flow score feels anything like that, we're gonna have a new leader.
Unbelievable run from Red Gerard.
Well, now we know how he truly feels about dropping last.
Doesn't faze him.
That worked out pretty nice for him. Our #1 qualifier stays in the #1 position. Nice performances from young Lion Farrell. Mark Mcmorris in the middle of the pack, though. He's not going to leave without a fight. Louie Vito is on standby with the red man.
So Red, you just stomped that first run. A little bit of challenging conditions. How does it feel to be able to get that first one out of the way?
Yeah, I mean, basically as best as I could feel. I was pretty scared dropping in for sure. Practice was kind of crazy with all the snow, but I'm pretty happy that I landed one, and yeah, just go from there.
Did you have to change your run at all to keep your speed from top to bottom?
The only thing I really changed is just that last rail. I just did 540 instead of like the 900 or whatever, but other than that, that's kind of my run, so just trying to land it.
Where do you go from here?
I don't know, man. We'll see, I guess.
Well, good luck. Congratulations on that first run.
Yeah, you know, just threw a 540 off that rail instead of a 900. Just keep things chill.
Nice and easy.
That's crazy. You have to hand it to the entire field. I mean, the stress that the riders were under during that break between the women's final and the beginning of this one, just to make the decision. At a certain point, they didn't know if they were going to run. It was dumping, wind, smoke, and then conditions changed 5 or 6 different times. And they decided to not only go for it, but they went all the way for it.
Well, yeah, and you know, looking at the top 3 scores right now, those were the 3, you know, cleanly landed runs. Mark Mcmorris is currently sitting in 5th place on a 53.35.
Right.
If you're Mark, you're feeling pretty good that you got 2 runs left and you can try to get this 3-peat done.
And Red even said, he's like, it was pretty scary dropping in. I mean, you don't want to be dropping into a slopestyle course wondering if I'm going to get enough speed to actually clear the jump, let alone think about a backside triple cork 1440. So for him to be able to put that down first run, and we saw a lot of guys pull out. We saw someone like Ståle Sandbeck knew you know, he didn't have enough speed, and he held back on that final jump. So
That's why this is the Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships, because you're watching 10 of the best in the world, and this is the ability they have to step up in any conditions and blow us away with radically incredible snowboarding. As we head back to our man in the 9th spot, young Brock Crouch. What can we look for, you think, from Brock?
I think Brock is going to put it all on the line right now. This is the second of 3 runs. He couldn't put the run down that he wanted to on run 1, but right now, with the top score being an 80.55, if I'm Brock Crouch, I'm going for that top spot, no questions asked. 50-50 into a front 5.
Cab 900 on that first jump. But do you see that bump he just hit there?
Yep.
And then does the double crippler, reverts around, and that costs all his speed.
To your point, Tina, you see the difference in just hitting that unexpected bump, affecting the setup into the transition hit, and it's a wrap.
It's huge. It's huge. If you hit something like that, it makes all the difference in the world.
And run 2 is going to be, this is going to be a really interesting round here, because going into transitioning from run 2 to run 3, they drop in reverse order of where they're standing. So when Mark Mcmorris does go, if he ends up going into the third and final run, dropping last, that's a terrifying place for the rest of the field. So it's going to be a really strategic play as to how these riders approach their second run.
Beginning of the week, we were really excited about that transition equalizer feature. We said it was going to be the difference maker. I don't think any of us thought the difference maker would be that hidden chop sections, and whether or not people would be able to evade them just to take off of the thing.
It's the run-in that we have to keep our eyes on.
It's like when you're surfing and all of a sudden there's like some 2-foot chops coming up the face and you're wondering why you're underwater.
Ready? Dropping, bib 9, dropping.
Great run from Sven Thorgen from Sweden.
Yeah, if I'm Sven, I'm feeling pretty darn good right now, sitting on a first run score of 79.6, and he's got plenty of room to improve and clean it up as he approaches the 3rd and final rail island. Coming into the jump section here. And the cab 12 didn't quite get it all the way around.
And he's one of the few riders, it was him and Red Gerard that were the only 2 that were able to throw 1440s on that first. Well, Mark did, but those were the only 2 riders that really landed it.
Oh, you're going to have to put that in the file for...
Yeah, you're going to want to log that one.
Log that one for the Burton bonus hit section. That was styly. Sven, one of those riders that just loves to ride a course as much as possible. And this is really like his discipline.
Yeah.
Slopestyle is his thing.
Absolutely. And let's see what happened here. So the switchboard slide, 630 out.
Jeez.
And he just didn't quite have the speed for that cab 12. But that was a thing of beauty right there. And again, right now, Sven Thorgren is currently sitting in 2nd place. There are some issues with speed and a little bit with visibility. I'm still feeling pretty good about where I'm at. However, and that is a hard however, Mark Mcmorris is up next.
Yeah.
This is going to get pretty crazy here if Mark puts down the run that he's capable of.
And let's not forget, Mark Mcmorris, for some reason, is one of those athletes who just does better the more pressure there is. A lot of his biggest moments that have gotten him to the top of podiums here, X Games, otherwise, is on his final run. Not saying that he's got to do that today,
right?
But he's not counted out until it's over.
Right. Basically, there's good and there's great, and that's the difference between the two. If you can ride under pressure consistently for years on end, you're going to be one of the greatest who's ever done it. Board slide 270. Oh, and he gets it around to switch right there on the 3rd rail island.
Oh,
did you
that
see
was huge.
How he slowed himself down midair?
All right.
This is it.
Seatbelts, folks. Oh!
That was dirty. That was insane.
What were you saying earlier, Sal?
Whoa! The pop. Did you see the pop off the top?
It's funny because I noticed that as soon as he left the lip, I was like, he popped harder and is spinning this a little bit slower.
He felt like he did that deliberately.
Yeah, he made an adjustment from run to run.
And the score at that top, a 9.0, so sets the run off right.
And then check this out. Front board 810. That's a backside 900 with a rail in between.
Basically, yeah.
And he went so big on the switch backside 1260.
And the switch backside is a big part of that trick name. That is a very, very difficult way to spin.
But this was what we all had our eyes on, was this backside triple cork 1440.
And it's, knowing Mark like I do, he made it a little flippier than spinnier because he said, you know what, if I flip a little bit more in this rotation, it's gonna make me pop harder, get over the knuckle, and put it to my feet.
You're exactly right.
That is a strategic decision from one of the best who's ever done it.
And at the beginning of his run, you said, great. There's good and great. And that choice that he made to be like, all right, I'm gonna pop off this thing as hard as possible.
Yep.
And know I can adjust how I spin. There's not a lot of riders who can be like, okay, well, I'm gonna spin slower.
And the other thing to note too that I failed to find on the replay was he slowed himself down on that switchback 12 a lot.
Yeah, like open the sail.
Interesting. Okay, 79.2. Mark is gonna move up to third place.
All right, what was missing?
Now I want to go back and see where the judges found deductions, like what they took.
Top section, the last, I think the second rail.
One of them, there was a 5. He scored a 5 on
and
one
that
of
was
those.
just a board slide 270 with a little melon grab in there. But the first and third were pretty impressive, and his jump stuff was quintessential Mark Mcmorris.
He had 9s on those jumps,
Yep.
but he did have that 5. So if he could bump that up.
I guess you're right, because if you think about it, he is just over a point behind Red Gerard. So, okay, yep.
Yeah, that's kind of perfect.
Yep.
That's why they're the 8 wise humans over there, and we are knowledgeable, but not as wise.
Mere mortals.
It leads you to the question, too, of like, what do you have to do on the rails to really separate yourself?
Right.
Yeah, and to your point, Red Gerard, an 80.55. Mark Mcmorris, a 79.2. Sven Thorgan, a 79.6. So less than a point between the 3 of them, which makes that last final run exciting. On course right now, though, Luke Winkleman.
Board slide 450 coming into the first jump switch. That's going to be the switch backside 1260.
And already everyone's making that landing. Ooh, just a backside 7 on that, but he's pointing this last jump.
Wow.
Gets that rotation around.
Luke Winkleman. Red Gerard knows
See
it.
Red's nodding.
And I think for Luke, it was just really important that he just put one to his feet. Just put one down, see what score comes in. Maybe don't go for the win right this second, but put yourself in a position to be in contention
And
when
build from there.
when the third run comes around. So 7.9 out of 10 on that first rail trick. And then an 8.1. So 2 really big rail scores there in the top section. And there's the switchback 12. And then the front side 1440.
Big score, an 8.8 there.
Yeah, that was a hard, on the last jump, it looked a little 1080-ish. Called front 14, but with those late corks and the dips, that is up to the judges to call right there. So 76.7.
He bumps himself up, 4th place. Like you said, going in that last run with access to the podium. And he's done that.
Yeah, once you land a run, even if it might not be that top score, it just creates so much momentum. And even on those sled rides up, those guys, if you land a run, it just is like, all right, one more.
Yep.
And it can make all the difference in the world.
Aloha on course. Lion Farrell.
50-50 front blunt 270, transferring from the pole jam over to the down bar. And then the cab 270 on, 270 off.
So 1080 on that first jump. And then gets the backside 1260.
Over rotated just a little bit. I think he had too much airtime on that back 12.
You know, those landings, we saw it in the women's when you come around and you're landing blind like that.
You're landing blind and you're also landing cross court.
Yeah.
The way that you're landing is almost like if you drifted off a straight jump really far to rider's right or rider's left.
You sort of have to slow it down and then really open up to spot it. It could be really tough.
So there's the backside 12. Look at how fast he's spinning that thing.
That was aggressive.
Such a tricky landing.
Got to hand it to him for not being afraid to throw it all out there. Very aggressive on the equalizer section.
Man, I just looked behind us real quick. Side note, there is a huge crowd
Big
at
crowd
the bottom
Friday.
of this course. It was happening right behind us, and I just realized it. It is officially the US Open Slope Finals.
Yeah, Friday game time steps up. We heard from Ståle Sandbeck talking about the difference in flat spins versus inverted, and that some people have a natural preference. This is a kid like you said, T-Bird, can do it all.
And that's why he's been so good and so relevant for such a long period of time. I mean, Ståle is only 25 years old. It feels like he's been a pro since he was 12. So a little bobble there on that first rail. And then board slide pretzel on the second rail island. And cab 270 on. I think in the first run that was 27 on, 27 off. Yeah, and he's a little off his line there. Cab 9 into a crippler. And then a backside 3 to kind of late method right there. But again, catching the knuckle on that third and final jump.
Well, you called it that he looked like he was off his line. You literally heard him off that last rail feature, hyped to get the save, but it seemed like his line was thrown off after that.
Yeah, it seemed like a little bit of frustration there.
It was thrown off right at the beginning.
Yeah. That back one on to switch 50.
And then it looked, with that one, he was trying to get back onto his line. A fantastic score, 7.9.
Well, and it's in slopestyle snowboarding, it's all about momentum. It's compartmentalizing the course and getting through one feature at a time. And every time you do, you build a little bit more momentum, and then you end it with that big money trick at the bottom. And if you have a bobble on that first feature, it throws your whole game off.
I thought for a minute that he was just going to stop his run, and then he went into that second feature.
Yep.
And he scored great on that. It looked like he was going to make a comeback, but as he said, one more run.
Here comes 6 feet of momentum. Darcy Sharp, one of the happiest humans, and one of the just the funnest to watch, because his snowboarding has that flair and versatility to it.
Yeah, he's just got a good energy about him on and off the hill. And he's one of the best rail riders in slopestyle snowboarding. So it's going to provide him a really good chance to pick up a lot of extra points here and there throughout this final. So board slide pretzel into the 270 on, 450 off.
And then goes switch backside 12.
No problems with speed on that first jump. Backside 1080. What's he got on the third and final jump? That was messed. Double cork, front 10 nose. And he spun it at the speed you would do a front side 7.
Yeah.
The way he slowed that down.
Unreal. So he's currently sitting on a 29.1 first run score. Darcy it's good for him to just get one to his feet, see what that score is going to be, build from there. But there's the board slide. Front 2-7 on to that down rail, transferring riders right to left.
So Tom, what can he add on these rails to even bump it up just 1 or 2 points? Because you're seeing scores like a 4 and a 6.8, where some of the other guys are like 8s and 9s.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
What Darcy can do is get a little bit more technical. He's got big, you know, combo 270 to 450s like you saw on that third rail island. He can do those on the first 2 features, bump his way up that live rank, and then build in the jump section from there.
Judges looking like they gave him some deductions for that front double cork for the hand down, but that was so beautiful.
Yeah, that was a nice run from Darcy Sharp.
So we see the areas where he has room to easily improve, sitting in that 6th spot. Not going to take much to make his way to the podium. What's the tone of the humans watching around the world, Louie?
Yeah,
how's that crowd at the bottom, too?
I know, we have a great crowd down here and great interaction on Facebook. Josh Brewer says, Red is killing it for USA, my man. Proud old snowboarder here from Seattle. And then we got from Scott Hargrove. He wants to know, goggle straps over or under the helmet?
Ooh.
What's your style? I was always a goggles under the helmet, and then I recently switched to goggles over the helmet. That's my personal style.
Welcome,
I don't know about you guys.
Welcome to Dope Steez. We're very happy to have you.
I love that question because I actually ask it all the time. I'm like, wait, under or over?
For me, it's mandatory over, but I think it's more function for people who are doing harder stuff.
Yeah.
To not risk losing goggles in the air.
And they're going down to the bottom of the course and taking their helmet and goggles off anyway, waiting for scores to come in. It's a great question, though. All right, Hiroki Kunitake on course for his 2nd of 3 runs. He qualified in 3rd.
He just destroyed that rail section.
Board slide underflip on that 3rd rail feature.
Oh, and he's off his line, just a front side 360 there. And a backside 540.
Get weird for the Burton bonus hit, Hiroki.
Ooh, front. I like that double grab there on that 3rd jump there.
That could be a conversation piece. I wonder what happened.
Yeah, ending it with a cab 9 double grab, but let's check that replay and see what threw him off his line. It is so crazy to me how spot on Darcy Sharp was when we spoke to him before the event. He said it's all about finding your line today.
Back rodeo, 5 out. Got a 9 there.
So a switch board slide to 450 out. Got a score in the 6s for that.
So that was a cab 9 triple grab. Put that in the queue for the Burton bonus.
I wish we got a chance to see where he got off of his line, because coming off of the top at that 3rd rail, he looked golden.
Good.
Yeah, he looked like he was in control.
But again, like Anna Gasser, who was with us early in the women's final, said, you know when you don't have it, and best to just choose not to go. Here's his countryman, Hiroki Tobita.
50-50, transfer over to front blunt 450. Half cab on, 50-50, back 5 out. Switch board slide 270.
So switch backside 1080 and then reverts around.
And usually that's a switch back 12 right there. So front 9. Into the cab 1080. So again, Rookie Tobita pumping the brakes there. Yeah, that cab 10 that he did, it looked like he almost decided right when he left the lip that he was going to kind of pull back on it a little bit, because it's usually the cab 12.
Cab 1260.
But he had a burner of a rail section. 50-50 front blunt 450. Half cab 50, back 5 out. And he looks like he's really in control there. And then he kept that to front 9. And then cab 1080. Landed everything clean,
but you
but
said
it just wasn't there.
Pumped the brakes a little on some of those jumps.
Well, that switchback 1080 with the revert, I think, is what did him in.
Yeah.
And Tom said, yeah, you would see him go 12 on that.
He knows what he has to do. You could see it in his eyes.
I mean, he qualified second, so you know he has the capability and the ability to do something on this course.
A reminder, as Red Gerard, our leader and #1 qualifier, takes this run in the 3rd runs, we're going to switch up.
He'll be dropping last.
It will go in reverse.
Knowing Red as I do, and if I were Red right now, I want some distance from Sven, Mark, Luke, and Lion. I want that 80.55 to be an 89.55. So I'm going to try to either stick with the same run, clean it up and go bigger, or step it up a little bit in the rails and the jumps. So half cab 50-50 back 3. That was insane. Board slide 810.
I think he heard you.
There's that switch back 12.
And that that looks better to me than the first run.
And Red is taking a different line around that Chunder segment right there. I am not counting that revert at all. That was impact. That was not intentional. He landed that so clean.
Will the judges reward him for the risk and that landing and not ding him for reverting around?
I mean, I think because he went so big, I almost like it more for the flow score. It shows that that was a trick he wasn't supposed to land. He went too big on that thing, but he held on to it.
How's this step up on that last rail section? I really love the way he hits that transition section from the back and taking advantage of all that nice, clean transition.
I mean, Red is like a full suspension mountain bike in human form. Look at how compact he is when he lands. That was incredible.
He still scores a 7 on that.
It's nice out now.
That was a deep squat landing. No.
Okay, so the judges did, in fact, dock him for that. That is not going to be an improvement.
I think the replay showed that his rear made contact with the snow on the landing.
Yeah, the sky cam, cable cam angle made it look absolutely incredible. I will say the ground angle, you could definitely tell.
But that being said, we can see that he's got the opportunity to get into the high 80s, if not the 90s. Our final runs are coming up to decide a champion here at the Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships. Stay with us.
Mark Mcmorris, 25 years old now, from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Coming back as a defending champ always puts a little pressure on you. I don't know if there's any pressure from any outside people, but I'm putting pressure on myself for sure. But I've won it twice before, and then I won it twice again, but I've never got a three-peat, so if I could win this year and get 3 in a row, that would be legendary, and I'd be very happy.
My name is Brock Crouch, 19 years old, from Carlsbad, California. It's pretty awesome to see what Jake and Donna do for everything this whole entire week, and it's like so welcoming. I'm so thankful to be a part of Burton, because like our week here, we always look forward to like being at the Burton US Open, and it's just Vail does a really good job, and it's definitely the best contest of the year for sure.
I'm Red Gerard, I'm 18 years old, and I'm from Silverthorne, Colorado. The best thing for me during all these practice days and everything was just I rode the course nonstop with my buddies. It really is a really fun course, and I love the idea of the mandatory side hit. I think it's awesome, and it's cool watching all these new tricks go down on it, which is amazing for snowboard slopes. I think it's one of the best things, having all these riders hitting it and doing all their crazy maneuvers on it.
Hello, I'm Ståle Sandbæk. I'm 25 years old from Rykkinn, Norway. This year's course is good, man. I like the quarter pipe that is actually a forced quarter pipe hit. Normally you have a jump option on the side. The fact that it's only a quarter pipe option from both sides makes it so all the riders have to hit it. It's a contest. You're in it to win it, you know. At the same time as you want to show your most unique style, you also...
Welcome back. You're looking live at Vail, Colorado. Fresh snow falling all night and into the day. Today here at the 2019 Burton US Open Snowboarding Championships. We are in the men's final, about to head into our third and final runs. And wouldn't you know, Mark Mcmorris finds himself in third place en route to a three-peat. And the difference between first, second, and third is less than a point.
Mark is actually 1.35. So if he can bump up his run by 1.36,
right,
he will move into first.
Crazy. And those are the last three riders to drop: Red, Sven, Mark.
It's going to be interesting. I like I like how in the third run they switch up the order. How do you think that affects the riders' choices?
I mean, it's going to affect the riders' choices in the sense that Brock Crouch, who's going to drop first with a first run score of 32.85, has to go all out. 100%, absolutely all risk taken. And I know he's going to do that. Whereas you advance further down the starting order, people are going to see, okay, who's landing? What are the scores coming in? And it gets a little more strategic where you're like, well, really all I need to do is just this much to get up into that top three spot or to unseat Red in first place.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Red, he is going last, and he even said it in his interview. He's like, I'm not comfortable in that position.
Yeah, this is
used to going last.
This is a position he is not used to. He's usually in the top 10, but kind of in that middle of the pack, and then he makes his final push.
Then he makes his push. Well, weather was a major factor as we began this men's final, and what you know, Vail Valley has decided, you know what, I'll chill. We've had little glimpses of sunlight. The snowfall has been minimal. The course has gotten considerably faster since the first run. Hopefully it'll hold for the remainder here, and these riders will be able to go all out as the young man from Carlsbad, Brock Crouch, is on course.
And under a year ago, this kid was involved in an avalanche in the British Columbia backcountry, a cornice failure avalanche. Swept 1,800 vertical feet down to the valley floor and buried, and look at him now. Absolutely remarkable that he is back in this position.
And this is the first contest back for him, and for him to even just make it to the finals at the Burton US Open, I mean, this is where the best slopestyle riders are.
And the work that he did, you can't stress it enough, the work that he had to do to get back just to being able to walk,
yeah,
let alone ride a snowboard and ride a snowboard at this level. For him, while he's not going to make the podium, this is a big win for Brock Crouch.
Yeah, Brock is the story at the Open that all the riders are talking about. They are all so psyched to see him here in these finals, and he put on a really good show in semifinals and finals. That cab 12 there, that little butt check there is what's going to do it in for him, unfortunately. But I think that run will be an improvement from his 10th place score of 32.85. You're going to want to hold on to that autograph, little man. That's going to be worth a lot of money in the coming years.
Indeed, at only 19 years of age, a name that we will be hearing plenty from. Podium in his future, definite. We've said from the beginning, you know, Ståle Sandbæk was someone in the semifinals who looked like he had that momentum for some podium. Hasn't been able to find his flow.
Yeah, he hasn't really found his groove today, but if he can put one together, which he is very capable of just making it all work for just one moment in a final, he's lethal. So that's where he had a bobble last run, 50-50 front blunt, 270, and then the board slide on the triple drop to Pretzel. Switch board slide, 270.
And then cap 1260 on the first jump, so he's on point. The double crippler. The backside 1260 to round it out.
And there it was, Stale making me look good. I owe you one, buddy.
I like just how loose he looked from the very top. Like just loose, like he was out taking a run for fun.
Just stress-free.
It's Stale though, even with, you know, having problems on those last 2 runs, he came back.
And that's what it is, right? It's a mental toughness that some of the great ones do have, where they don't let themselves get into a rut mentally, even though he couldn't figure it out the first 2 runs. Even right there, he may have been trying to go cab 2 on, 2 out, but he just made that quick little adjustment and said, all right, I'm gonna dial this back, I'm gonna land on my feet, I'm gonna restart in this jump section. And his jump section was phenomenal. Double crippler into the back 12. This is going to be an interesting score when it comes in.
As we await scores for Stale.
Is it enough for top 3? The judges know that answer. We don't. But right now, Mark Mcmorris in third with a 79.2.
They are taking their time. And that's for the judges, you know, how much comparison goes into, you know, those other scores that were set.
I think that's what they base it all upon. You know, they look at what Red, Sven, Mark, Luke did, and they say, okay, how are we comparing his run feature by feature, trick by trick?
And also you got to remember the overall impression score.
Yep.
Like I looked at that run and overall, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was really fluid. It had a lot of flow from top to bottom.
It felt good.
Yes.
Yep.
The landings were so on point.
Yep.
And I like even where he had to make adjustments up top, like he didn't stress out. It's like, all right, that wasn't perfect, but I'm just going to flow with it.
I'm going to forget that one, reset on to the next feature. And that's the compartmentalization of feature by feature. Build momentum throughout your run. There aren't many better at it in the game than Stale.
Strong flow score, improves a bunch.
And that's what we were talking about. It felt good. It was a great flow score. The trick score just wasn't quite there.
But it suits Stale's style in a way, almost that overall impression score was so high, because that's how Stale rides.
Well, I mean, follow that kid on Instagram. Watch Gimbal God's footage of him. It's going to want to make you snowboard.
It's better than morning coffee.
It's unbelievable.
If he's the first thing in your feed in the morning, you're like, yeah, I might not need a cup of coffee today.
It's unreal. That kid he's an electric factory out there.
He is, he's definitely a gift. And look at young Redmond Gerard. Do you think he would like to win the Burton US Open? Look at him.
His top finish is a 5th here. And that was in 2016. And do you remember, Tom, that's when he did his first backside triple cork 1440 on the final jump. Finished 5th.
I just love that he's not in the tent right now. He's getting his mind right by himself.
Walk in the woods.
Ruki Tobita. What a great showing from this kid.
Half cab on, backside 540 out, and then switch board slide 270. And there's that switch back 12.
Front side 1080.
Are you kidding me with that amplitude? Okay. All right.
And getting that last trick to his feet.
Wow.
So we were talking how the course was going faster. It was getting faster, and just the last couple riders, you can see it.
Well, and we even heard after Red Gerard's second run, we caught on the hot mic. He said after his interview to Louie, he goes, man, it's nice out now. The wind has died down. The course is getting faster. Visibility is getting better. and they're not dealing with that incessant snowfall that they were having to navigate in practice.
So the switch backside 1260. Tom, look at that landing. He just gets it. Ooh, holds on. And then comes into this with a front side 1080.
That was
sort of tickled the grab on that one.
absurd.
But the backside triple cork 1440 was the highlight of that run, and he got it around. He wasn't anywhere near that in his previous runs.
And so that's a really good point on that front side 10. He only got a 4.7 on the trick score. Good point. He did miss that grab a little bit.
Great showing. 7th place for right now. And that's the thing about this event, right? Those little particulars, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. You know, it's not just leaving the lip and landing. What you're doing in between, holding grabs, that execution is such a big deal in those individual trick scores in the rail section and the jumps.
And the overall impression and flow score.
On course, Hiroki Kunitake, 17 years old.
What? Did he just double underflip off of a rail?
Yes, he did.
Oh. And then way too much speed on that first jump. But that was a definite first that we've seen here at the US Open. Double underflip out of a switch board slide.
That run was about to be all sorts of nuts.
Yeah, that one was about to go off.
How about that slam?
That was unreal. So there you see the first rail island right there, and then a half cab 50 nollie backside rodeo out. And check this out. Switchboard slide. Just a casual double underflip.
Yeah, super mellow.
Yeah, and he knew it. He absolutely knew that he just had too much speed. And it's probably because of that double underflip. He landed you have to land really far down that landing to ride away from that. He didn't speed check, sent it a bit too far.
And you talk about the domino effect and the momentum and how you can take from feature to feature. And like you said, it just so much speed off of that double underflip heading into that jump. And at that point, that's kind of when you have to sort of speed check. But on this course, you haven't wanted to do that in the past.
Right.
Darcy Sharp in 8th place, 100% and fully capable of making it to the podium. Doing it for British Columbia, the fine folks up in Whistler Blackcomb.
Board slide to front board back to regular, or switch front board back to regular, and then board slide pretzel on the triple drop. Cab 270 on, 450 out.
Switch backside 1080.
And that is a wrap.
It looked to me now that he's even going bigger than he was in the past. So are now the guys having to really figure out their speeds? Because before, the earlier runs, you're coming up short.
Yeah.
Now these guys, especially on that first jump, are going almost past that sweet spot on the landing.
As if they haven't battled enough today with speed and weather, they now have to make another adjustment in their third and final runs for the 5 riders left to drop. So 8.6 out of 10 on the first rail island. And the judges really like that board slide pretzel. All execution there. And then cab 270 on, 450 out. His rail scores were looking really good. And then that switch back 10 right there. Just landing a little hard on that toe edge.
Second person in a row coming in too hot on that first jump.
Yep.
So how the rest of the field
Good luck, boys. Get it, Mark.
will
Let's
adjust.
go, baby.
And that's what you say about how you can't not love Darcy.
Yep.
First thing he says is like, all right, everybody else kill it. Mark, go get this.
Yeah, a lot of people would be pretty disappointed right there, hanging their head, not Darcy.
No.
He's like, all right, I didn't get it today. Had a great time, put on an amazing show. Go get it, Mark. Hyping up the homies.
There's Haley Langland, Maddie Mastro.
And one of the fantastic things about this event, as you see them, the women competitors, since 1982, since the inception of the Burton US Open, this has been an equal pay event for the men's and women's field, dating back to 82. Virtually unheard of across the landscape of any sports, but the Open has always set the standard. As we see now, the rest of the country and the world starting to take notice, and you know, women fighting so hard to say, hey, why don't we deserve that? What a special thing that snowboarding, you know, the granddaddy of them all in snowboard events that's just been the standard.
Excellent point. So Lion Farrell on course. Cab 270 on, 270 off.
Frontside 1080.
That's so cool looking.
Backside 1260, holds on.
Oh, and he was going for the cab 16. Or he was going cab 14, got 12 around, not quite enough air time. So Lion's gonna remain in 5th place, but what a showing from the young Hawaiian. I mean, this kid is the future of slopestyle snowboarding. He has definitely cemented that fact here at the 2019 Burton US Open.
It is such a big deal to make the Burton US Open finals.
Oh yeah.
It's huge. And for him to be here out performing like this in his very first final.
Oh, and he gets back to Hawaii, they're gonna be like, oh, Lion, we saw you out there killing it, brah, in the mountains for us.
So lost some speed on the landing there, and just, it affected that third and final jump.
Look how, I mean, still gets a 73.4.
He got 5th place at the US Open slopestyle.
Even him, he was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That just goes to show, imagine if he makes
top 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is where it went wrong on that third jump.
I thought I heard him say to someone in the crowd that he felt like he left early.
Okay.
Coming off the last jump. We saw another shot of Red Gerard still taking a private walk through the woods. If you don't think there's some weight here, as Luke Winkleman from North Kakalaka, look at that. Look at getting some love
and right
from Red Gerard.
This is a win for Luke Winkleman, no matter what happens moving forward. He's going to end up at least in 4th place here at the US Open in his first final ever.
And he's going to do everything he can right now.
Absolutely.
To podium dance. Said, I'm just out here trying to lace, folks.
Let's lace, Luke. Board slide 450. Heading into that first of 3 jumps. Ooh. And again, sent it a little bit too deep, coming out of that 3rd rail island and into the first jump.
Burton bonus hit.
Yo. I'm giving it to him. That was insane. That was one of the most ridiculous frontside 3s I've ever seen.
He heard you, Sal. He's like, all right, this is for that final Burton bonus hit.
The fans, you at home, will be voting on the winner of the Burton bonus hit.
I mean, at that point, right, you're Luke Winkleman. You know you're not going to get up into that top 3 at a certain point after this right here. So try to put a little extra cash in your pocket and end up with a 4th place finish.
How crazy is that? Like 3 of the last 4 riders on that first hit. Look, when that kid asked him for his jersey, he's like, this is my first US Open, bro. I think I'm going to keep this one.
This is getting framed.
Thank you, though.
And yeah, so if you're Red Gerard right now, you got Mark Mcmorris and Sven Thorgren, 2 of the best alive, dropping in front of you. There's some nerves. There's some adrenaline coursing through those veins.
And hey, we said it before at the get-go, when it comes to Mark Mcmorris, like, last run drama, it's kind of my signature move.
Yeah.
And it was that one feature up top that he scored the 5. He had great scores on all of the other features.
Yep.
But the 5.
Yep.
And that.
And you know he knows that.
Yes, and
Yeah.
if he can just bump it up 1.35, 1.36, then he moves into the lead.
Score to beat at present with Red Gerard still to go is an 80.55. If you're Mark Mcmorris, you're trying to get a 90.
Absolutely.
Trying to literally start, say, new contest, Red.
Yeah.
This is a new contest right now.
This is a one-run final. 50-50 hard way back 2. Board slide 270. And there is the front board 810. This is going to be switchback 12. I don't know if you can stomp that any cleaner than that.
Double crippler. Goes for the 1620.
You have to give it to Mark Mcmorris. Always progressing, always pushing it. Triple cork backside 1620. He wasn't just going for first place. He was trying to put the nail in the coffin.
You can't win the US Open in 2019 without full risk.
Wow.
Louie, take us through Mark's run.
I love how he starts off with that 50-50 hard way back 270, right into that board slide, 270 out. But right here, the riders have been pushing this cannon rail so much. 810 out. People are doing 900 on jumps. He did an 810 off the rail, right into the switch backside 1260. I love the way he stomps those tricks so deep and just over his bolts. And then here, he went at the very end, the back triple, adding an extra 180 from his last run, and just couldn't quite hold on.
He was like, over halfway down the landing, maybe? I love Mark's style, though.
But Mark Mcmorris, two-time back-to-back US Open champion, and so far sitting in 3rd place. I think he actually clinched 3rd place, so it's pretty crazy. When you're not 100% on, you're still in the top 3.
Pretty rad to know that he makes yet another podium, and the elusive three-peat in slopestyle at the US Open will have to wait a few years to happen.
And I would not be surprised if 3 years from now we were sitting here in the same position saying Ken Mark three-peat. He's going to come back stronger than ever, more dangerous than ever.
Sven Thorgren, what a great showing from him.
50-50 back 3. Board slide 270, and then the switch board slide rippy flip.
Cab 1260.
He's gonna get docked for that little bobble right there. He's gotta be perfect from here on out. And that's it.
Wow. That's it. And there's Red up top.
Wow.
Well, you
celebrating.
You gotta love that Sven from the very beginning was like, I'm not riding for 2nd place.
Absolutely.
Oh my God!
Red Gerard qualifies first for finals, ends up in first for finals, and you know he was not comfortable up there watching all of those guys drop the form. He was walking in the woods. He was
never seen Red Gerard so nervous. Ever. Not at the Olympics, not at any other event.
Yeah, right off the bat.
I mean, 9.1 out of 10 on that first rail feature.
Sven said, I'm coming for you.
Front 2 on, 270 off. And then switch board slide. There's that rippy flip. And then this is where it went wrong for Sven Thorgren. It just threw him off his game just enough. And then going for that front side double cork 1080.
You said it after that hand drag, you know, he was going to need to be perfect. He still got a 6-4.
Yeah.
Like, so the opportunity was still there, unfortunately.
Absolutely. 2 scores in the 9s on those next 2 jumps.
Hold your head high. young Thorgren of Sweden. You did the damn thing. But how about this?
Unbelievable.
Doesn't make the final last year. And this year comes back and then some. Qualifies first. An unusual position for him. And now Red Gerard just gets to do the happy dance down to the bottom as the 2019 Burton US Open snowboarding champion in slopestyle.
I mean, I know Red is not comfortable qualifying first and having to go through a final like that, but unfortunately for him, I think he better get used to it because this kid is incredible. He is the future face of slopestyle snowboarding.
The thing I liked about
Wow.
He might have just won a Burton bonus hit on the victory lap.
He is about to get mobbed right now. Darcy Sharp, Lion Farrell, Brock Crouch.
And what does it say about you as a competitor and your reputation in the field when all of your competitors come out and tackle you after the win?
It's just a shared love of snowboarding, of the culture, of the community, and of the people that assemble all of those things.
And it says a lot, just says a lot about him as a person. You know, there are plenty of guys, men and women, who might win an event who people might be, hey, good job, but maybe not all your competitors are going to come out and tackle you.
I mean, LeBron James and KD, they're not hugging, they're not tackling each other after the NBA Finals.
There you see the final lineup. A great showing, even in 10th place for Brock Crouch. This is a win for him to be back here amongst his peers. For the young Japanese riders making their statement here on stage. Mark Mcmorris still able to make the podium despite struggle and not doing his normal Mcmorrising domination. Sven Thorgren, but Red Gerard, man, like,
He rode so strong in semifinals that, I mean, he came into this and he even said, I'm not comfortable going last. I'm not comfortable dropping last. I like to finish events fifth, you know? Like, that's where I'm the most comfortable. But he found himself in a completely new territory, had to handle that, the pressure. We saw him up there, pacing back and forth.
Yep.
I've never in my life seen Red react like that. And you could see from that nervousness to the win, that series of emotions.
Louie, Red was happiest when it was announced that we were going to have that transition equalizer, and he made the most of it.
Red. It's hard when this many people are that happy for you. That speaks on the type of person and the type of snowboarder that Red Gerard is. Red, US Open champion, first time. Tell me how you're feeling.
I don't know, man. I feel insane. This is like, you know, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. I've never expected that I'd even be in the finals at the Open, and to win one with such an insane podium, I don't know. I'm speechless, man.
US Open champion Red Gerard, congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Louie.
Back to you, Sal.
Thank you, Louie. And how about that? We cut to that shot. Who's tackling him and giving him the biggest bear hug but Mark Mcmorris, and saying, this is the guy.
And I think Louie had the quote of the day. When you have that many of your fellow competitors reacting in that fashion, it not only speaks to who you are as a snowboarder, but who you are as a human being. And Red Gerard is just a good kid, and he also happens to be one of the best snowboarders on earth.
This means the world to him. You could just tell. I've never even seen him react to a win like he is here. It's the Burton US Open.
You know, from the very beginning, you know, we've been saying, as we look back in the history books to this event, going back to the 80s, I mean, this is the event that made Craig Kelly a household name. I remember walking in the 7-Eleven when Craig Kelly won this event. I believe it was in '89, and there he was on the cover. It was like, Craig Kelly wins the US Open. You're like, oh,
yeah.
And devouring the magazine and dreaming what it would be like to get to go just to witness the event. Terrier made his name here. Just to go down the list of your favorite snowboarders in history, they had to walk through this lane here. You can't make it in snowboarding to be that type of a name, a legend, without making a statement here at the U.S. Open.
It's created more legends in this culture than any other event, hands down. Kazu Kokubo, Danny Davis, Shaun White. You said Craig. You said Terrier. I mean, the list goes on.
Shannon Dunn.
Yep.
I mean, you just all the way down the line.
Yeah.
I'm pleasantly exhausted. How about you guys?
Me too. I feel good. I'm good tired. That was a long day, but it was an incredible day.
Absolutely a happy tired. Where are we going next? Are we going to look at highlights? We're going to look at the Burton Open. See, this is when you know there's been a lot of runs said. Burton bonus hit.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the nominees.
Because there were some killers all week long. We're gonna include semifinals.
Oh, that is
the lawn dart from Seven to Buck.
I like that.
Shout out, rest in peace to Ben Hinckley, who made that trick famous, won gold medals for it.
That is a nice looking switch backside 540 from Carlos Garcia Knight. I like that a lot. Young Sean Fitzsimmons. That kid really made a name for himself. I'm super excited to see what he's going to do in the years to come.
Oh, today.
That was nice.
That was insane.
Today from Sven. So how about that 3 from the semis? 1 from today. Is there another? No, that's it. You guys have a favorite?
I think I might have to go with Sven.
Sven?
Yeah,
like
that
Sven.
backside
that
540
really
nose.
cool.
I mean, how for him to just grab like that and kind of open it up and style.
Just go sailing.
I really like Sean Fitzsimmons' front 3 because he brings it like 450 and then back to regular. So that was pretty cool. From such a young kid, it's cool to see a trick like that.
That's mine. I'm going with the 360.
Cool.
How about you folks at home? There's like 3.5 minutes and change left to vote. So get on the Facebook page via Burton and/or Red Bull and cast your votes. We saw Jamie Anderson win for a giant deep backside 180, landing somewhere like right here next to us in the women's. See who gets the win.
All right.
I'm curious. Thoughts?
You know, we were sitting here yesterday at Pipe, and Terrier was here, and he was like, you win once at the U.S. Open, and it's great, and then you win again, and it's even better, and then you win again, and he's like, the U.S. Open, we were talking about how special it is, and so now we've seen Red win it once.
Yep.
This could just start something for him.
Yeah, that was, incredible showing from Red Gerard. I'm, as a snowboarder, as a fan of snowboarding, I'm psyched that Red Gerard took the win today. I also got to give it up to Mark Mcmorris. Mark could have easily stuck to the exact same run and tried to do it more perfectly and not push the envelope, not try to take it to the limit. Instead, he goes backside triple cork, 1620. It doesn't pay off for him. He still gets third, and then he's hugging Red Gerard because Mark knows that he put 100% into his run, and he unfortunately didn't land, and Red earned that win today.
And it's the reason that we look at Mark as like one of the lead ambassadors of their overall culture for what snowboarding is. And Red, you can see that he's definitely next in line. So it makes sense. That's a nice shot of those two. While we're waiting for voting on the Burton bonus hit, we had another contest going on called Red Bull 5, where 5 individuals, look at that, from the Red Bull 5 up, 5 individuals get an opportunity to go and ride with, someone's going to tell me right now, in my head. Who do they get to go ride with? They get to go ride with Ben Ferguson.
Ooh.
All expense paid. 5 individuals.
Wow.
For the Red Bull 5 up.
And, you know, Ben has been riding a lot of powder this year. So if you can get on one of those trips with Ben where he's, riding some of that powder, that's not too shabby.
I wish I would have known. I would have entered.
I would have thrown my hat in the ring for that prize.
I would have been like, fall back. You won't even be able to keep up with him. So congratulations to the 5 winners getting to hang out with Ben Ferguson for the Red Bull 5 up. How about we take a look at our top 3 runs here in the final.
Yeah,
Mr. Adjustment on the fly, Mark Mcmorris.
And this is what I was talking about. This was his second run score of 79.2, and this run was absolutely insane. He could have very easily just done this run again and tried to land it cleaner because, remember, he was only 1.35 points behind Red Gerard, and that was equal to 2 spots. Mark ending up in 3rd place, but this run was ridiculous. Check this out. Backside, triple cork, 1440, and that's where he made the adjustment. Instead of keeping it a little flatter and more corked, he flipped a little bit more, I think because he knew he was going to pop more, get him over the knuckle, because there were speed issues in run 2. So good on you, Mark Mcmorris. He is the greatest alive.
Yeah,
currently.
fantastic showing by him. And then Sven Thorgren, what can you say about this rider? One of the most stylish riders out there. In these top 3 scores, look at him. They're all so close to each other.
It's also unfair because Swedish riders are just born with like 67% more style than anyone else just coming into the game.
Yeah, there's something in the water over there. That's tried and true. I love that switchboard slide, rippy flip. Nice mix of old and new right there. There's cab 1260, and I truly believe that little bobble right there did cost him a little bit, and it was very close between him and Red Gerard.
So a 1080 on the transition feature, and he finishes off with a backside 1440 and stomps it perfectly.
And it contrasts the triple cork 1440 that Mark did. Those are the 2 most different ways that you can do a 1440. One involving 3 flips, one dead flat. But this kid right here is your winner. He dropped last in run 1 and took all the speed he could muster through this course, and it paid off. 80.5. Look at how fast Red Gerard is flying down this course.
And started off the jumps with a switch backside 1260, and then on this transition feature, does that frontside 1080.
And that's an interesting point right there to make, is a lot of riders went double crippler on that transition feature. Red opted to go double front 10. So you can see exactly why. It was a very close call in that top 3, but you can see why Red made it out on top.
An 80.6 for Red, a 79.9. 79.6 for Sven.
Wow.
Yeah, and his top finish before this was a 5th, and now his very first Burton US Open win. What a great competition for Red.
Unreal. Unreal. I'm so psyched for Red Gerard.
I'm still trying to comprehend how it was just basically a point and change between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Thank you at home for hanging out with us all day. Was that, let's see, 30 runs of snowboarding that we had in the men's, plus, I don't know what the math was.
48.
48. We're just clocking runs here.
Yeah.
That's, and we're happy. I mean, that's what we come for, just to
Yeah.
bathe in snowboarding. Hit us up at Red Bull Snow, at Burton Snowboards. The hashtag is Burton US Open. Let us know what your thoughts are on these 3 furious days of snowboarding so far at the granddaddy of them all. And remember, we're not done yet. Tomorrow, Superpipe Finals. One more day for the men and women to change history. And if you like what you're watching on Red Bull TV, well, just keep hanging out with us. The latest live events and best snowboarding films, shows, the best athletes, inside views, greatest adventures. You get the picture, the Winter Channel on Red Bull TV, only on Red Bull TV. I have a winner for the bonus hit. And it is, with 74% of the vote, Sven Thorgren.
So a 2nd place finish.
Look at that.
And some cold, hard cash in his pocket.
Those are some very smart voters. Look at the style on that. That's just snowboarding.
That was the first trick I've ever seen Sven do in a competition.
No way.
Yeah. Innsbruck, Aaron style, years ago. Fun run. I think it was during practice, and he busted that out, and I was like, yo, this kid's sick. This kid knows what's up.
Gets to do it for fun. How's that? 2nd at the US Open, and they're like, oh, I also got the Burton bonus hit.
Yep.
Which is voted on by the viewers, and that means so much.
Yeah, 74% of the vote. So it was not a competition really for him. Well, that's a wrap for us today. A joy to share this seat here in our magic living room with you guys. Women's half-pipe final tomorrow morning. Are we going to see some double corks and change, perhaps? Tune in. The men will be following in the afternoon. We will leave you, though, with some highlights from this amazing men's final. And we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. where Chloe Kim and company. Chloe Kim was just like field decimating.
She was throwing new tricks in the semifinals.
Right.
Tricks that I hadn't seen, like a switch backside 540. There's talk of, she's done the double cork 1080 in practice. She's never done that double cork 1080 in a competition.
What better place than
the Burton US Open.
Yeah, the last event of the year.
So.
All right.
That's soon.
That's a wrap. Let's get some sleep, maybe get some runs. And between now and then, you guys have a safe time, whatever we're doing, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here are some highlights from the men's final that we promised you. Aloha until tomorrow.